Well, good morning. Today I'm hiking Pierce Lake, which is about 1,000 meters up in the valley here. And it is a gorgeous blue sky sunny day. It's the first real warm day, first real sunny day that we've had pretty much this year. So I couldn't wait to get out. Looks like a couple people spent the night up there last night, because there are a couple of vehicles in the parking lot this morning that look like they've been there all night. There may be some snow up there still, not 100% sure. The lake may be frozen still, but if it's not, I'm probably going to go for a dip when I get up there. Anyways, first time hiking this trail. I've never been here before. Starts off pretty mellow in a really nice mossy forest. I hear the trail can be pretty steep in some spots with a lot of switchbacks. So I'm looking forward to that. Nice to get out fairly early. It's just after 7 this morning. Lots of birds around here. It's gorgeous. It's pretty cool this morning. I am in a t-shirt in the sun at the parking lot there. As soon as you get in the trees, you definitely feel it's crisp. Truck said it was about 3 degrees this morning, although I can't really see my breath in the forest here, so it's probably at least 5 or 6 right here. Looks like the first slope's coming up ahead. I'm going to put you guys away for a little while. Head up the mountain, and we'll see what I find. Okay, first little break here. The first kilometer or so is quite a slog. It's pretty steep. You can see. It's a nice view from up here already. Anyways, just gonna catch my breath a little and carry on. Kind of looks like we're getting out onto the sunny side of the mountain too, so should warm up a bit. Oh yeah, that was refreshing. Now I don't necessarily recommend that everybody just drinks from any random creek in whatever forest they're in. However, I drink from a lot of creeks in a lot of the forests I go to, and my body's pretty well used to it. So be smart, take your own precautions. Anyways, things are going downhill here for a little while. which is a nice rest for my legs after that drink. And I think we're going to get to the main creek, Pierce Creek, and cross over to the other side, which may take me out of this gorgeous sunlit forest, put me back in the shade of the mountain on the other side. Oh wow, this giant cliff up above me. That is amazing. You just never know what you're going to find. Well, that was a beautiful spot to stop. Old rock slide there. Gave me a nice spot to sit down, have a granola bar, bit of water, my energy back. Probably about halfway on distance, about 2/3 on elevation. And it's interesting, halfway up the mountain here, I actually ran back into cell service. So I was able to load up my map. And it looks like the lake's at about 1,400 meters of elevation. Not just over 1,000 like I originally thought. So there'll definitely be some snow up there. I actually ran into my first bit of snow just back there in that little rock slide, but now that I'm back into the trees, it's all just moss and green, and I'm actually going downhill a little bit right here. So It's nice after all those switchbacks before that rock slide. That was a steep section there. Anyways, I'm going to keep cruising up here. I think it's about 10 o'clock. Been on the trail for a few hours. It's pretty slow going when I'm stopping to do all this filming. Running back and forth and up and down, and because every shot you see where I walk past the camera, especially the steep ones, I gotta go back and get it. And it's funny because I often see some amazing shots on switchbacks in some of those real steep sections where it's rocky and trees, and I think, man, I should set up a shot right there and get that one. And then I think about having to climb back down to go get the camera, and more often than not I don't get the shot. So, oh cool, I'll turn the camera around, let you guys see this. Coming up towards the creek here, and there's a giant old cedar down that looks really cool too. Some of these parts of this forest really do have some ancient giants up here. Some of these cedar trees and Douglas fir and even some hemlock that are 6 foot in diameter and hundreds of feet tall. Probably been here for hundreds of years before I was born, and they'll be here long after me too. I love this part of the forest. It's definitely cooled off though, getting close to the creek in this little gully. It was nice and warm up on that rock slide, but a little more snow here and there in patches, and definitely feel that cool air coming down the mountain. The days changed enough. The thermals were coming up where I was stopped on the rocks there, but in this little gully, it's they're coming down, and I can definitely feel that cold air from up above. Well, I think I'm getting close. Maybe a kilometer or so to go. A couple 100 meters of vert. That's good, because the snow's getting pretty deep. It's probably a good foot or two in most places. It's pretty solid. The odd post hole here and there, but it's also warm enough that the top is a little soft. So when you plant your feet, you get pretty good grip. A little bit of side hilling, but overall not too slippery. But I am getting a little worried. I don't know if I'm going to be able to have a swim when I get up there. I was kind of hoping to take a dunk, but when there's this much snow already, and I still have to go another couple 100 meters up, I'm kind of guessing the lake's going to still be frozen. Let's hope there's a little bit of clear water on the sides. Maybe I can at least get my feet in there. If not, get in for a quick dip. Wish me luck. Man, that's a gnarly side hill. It's almost enough to turn me back, but I'm so close. It's slick, it's deep, it's steep, but I'm not going to stop. A little bit further. All right, well, I made it to Pierce Lake, and it's frozen solid with a whole bunch of snow on top, so definitely not getting in for a dip. And the clouds kind of came in up there, and it was even actually raining a little bit while I was having a quick snack, so I'm not going to stick around for too long. Today's just a quick up and back kind of trip. I wanted to see how much snow was up here, see if I can't maybe get a dip in the lake, but like I say, not today, but the view's sure worth it. That's Mount McFarlane on the backside of the lake over there, covered in snow. A couple of slides, little avalanches have come down those chutes there, but just gorgeous. Well worth it to be up here for the day. A couple other people on the trail. There's one guy spent the night up here, so it probably gets pretty busy in the summer. I think this is a good time for me to come up and do a little exploring where there's less people and I can have the place pretty much to myself. But now, the downward grind. See you at the bottom. That's steep. Okay, well, that was a fun hike. A little anticlimactic at the top, but the view is sure worth it. Definitely need to get myself some spikes, micro spikes, crampons, something like that for doing hikes like this, because these side hills on this icy snow, it's pretty sketchy. So you may notice on my backpack I got something on the way down that I didn't have on the way up. And that's a pair of snowshoes that I found in the lake. So I don't know if somebody came up here in the winter, maybe it snowed a whole bunch overnight and they couldn't find them or what, but I was able to fish them out. And I thought about leaving them there, but the chances are the person who left them is probably never going to come back for them. So I'll post on the local forum, see if the person who lost them is a member. Maybe they can describe to me where they lost them or what the circumstances were. Get them back to them. Otherwise, new snowshoes. So walking in all this snow kind of reminded me of a story years back when I was in Alberta and I was bow hunting by myself. I spent a lot of time in nature by myself, and I was hunting moose, and I was way back in the bush by myself, and I was hiking on my way out in the snow, and it was pretty deep, a lot different snow than this, a lot flatter, more gentle terrain, but really dry, fluffy snow, hard to walk in. And especially because I was hunting, I didn't have snowshoes with me because I wanted to be light and nimble. And in the trees and the thick bush there, they just don't work. So anyways, I was hiking on my way out and I hit a trail that I knew led me down to the road real close to my truck. So I thought, I'll just hit this trail and get myself out of there. And it was like end of October, maybe first week of November. Can't remember exactly. But as I'm walking on the trail, I slip and I fall. And it was funny because it was like the most flat spot on the whole trail where I slipped and fell. But when I landed, I broke through the ice of a big mud hole on the trail and dropped through neck deep into the water in -20. And I got myself out. My pack was soaked. Everything on me was soaked. Had a real quick decision to make. I knew I was still a couple kilometers away from the truck. Like I say, it's about -20. It's gonna be dark within about a half hour. And I had to decide if I could get myself out of there without freezing to death or stop and make a fire. I decided to stop and make a fire. Dry myself out. Spent about 3 hours on the side of the trail. I had my lighter in the top pouch of my pack, which was full of water, but I also had my ferro rod and a small Altoids tin with some fat wood and some nice dry tinder. And even though water got into it, the fat wood itself still takes a spark even when it's soaking wet. So I was able to get my knife out, feather it up a little, break off a couple of small branches. And the branches obviously around in Alberta a lot drier than around here, especially in the fall after they've been out in the sun all summer. So I was able to get a pretty big fire going pretty quick. But when I was trying to strike that ferro rod, I could barely make my hands work to hold on to the striker and the rod at the same time and throw some sparks. Another minute or two, I bet you my hands wouldn't have worked anymore, and somebody else would have found me frozen in the snow, because I wouldn't have been making it out of there at that point. So it just reminded me hiking in the snow like this. It's been a while. I tend to not get out near as much as I used to. But now that my daughter's a little bit older, I can spend a little more time away from home doing stuff like this. Although I do also want to be a hell of a lot more careful than I used to be when I was young, because I want to make sure I make it home to her every single night. This is steep. But I was thinking of doing a little series on my YouTube channel here. I don't know, call them trail stories or bush stories or something like that. But just talk about some of the different adventures I've had out in the wilderness over the years. Like maybe the time I played hide and seek with a grizzly bear on the mountain through most of the night, who wouldn't let me get back to my truck. Again, when I was out bow hunting by myself, so just had a bow and that was it. Or the time the cougar tracked me to where I was hunting for the day, and I didn't know until the hike out, when I kept seeing his tracks coming in and checking mine out. And then I realized he was paralleling me the whole way in. Or maybe some of the trips when I used to gold mine for a living. I don't know how many of you guys know that, but I had a small mining operation, and as part of that, I spent a little time every year prospecting new ground. So I'd load up my pack, bring my dog with me, my old Great Dane Marley. He passed years ago, but he used to come with me everywhere in the bush. We'd go in for a week at a time. I don't know how many times we had black bear nose to nose with us in the bush. I remember one time he was sleeping while I was down in the creek panning. And I look up to see him sitting in the sun, and on the trail about 20 yards above him there's a mama bear and 2 small cubs looking down over the hill, watching me, thinking, what am I doing? And I look up at him and think, stay asleep, hound. I don't want you waking up and messing with mama and her cubs. But let me know in the comments if you guys are interested in stuff like that. After hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of nights in the bush by myself, hundreds of days hunting by myself, prospecting, hiking, camping, exploring, I've got all kinds of different stories. So if any of you guys want to hear those, maybe I'll put together a little series of short videos. Maybe not like YouTube shorts, the vertical 60-second ones. The way I tell stories, it'll probably take 5 or 10 minutes each. But I think I might add something to some of the videos I'm making here. Whew. Also, this video too, I'm trying to add a little more talking and maybe some B-roll over the talking to kind of change it up a little. I know my last video hiking Elk Mountain there, I talked a little bit, but it was mostly scenery and just hiking and background noises, kind of telling the story of that hike. But all this YouTube stuff is still pretty new to me, and I am really having fun making these videos and filming and using it as an excuse to get out, spend more time in the forest. So let me know what you guys are interested in. I mean, maybe you say, shut the hell up, Sampson. I just want to hear the music and see the scenery. Or, why do you put that music in there? I just want to hear your footsteps in the snow and the birds chirping in the background and the fire crackling while I make lunch. But I think I'd make a variety because I like talking, but I also like sitting by a fire in the rain under a tarp with the sticks crackling and the rain dripping and the meat sizzling. Without having to hear me huffing and puffing because I'm slipping and sliding knee deep in the snow. Anyways, I'm gonna get out of this snow. I'll put the afterburners on. It's flattening out a little bit down here. Side hill's not nearly as steep as that first little bit. It's actually easier coming down there than I thought it was gonna be, so that makes things nice. Maybe I'll pop back once I hit the grass or the moss and give you another trail story.